States, Egypt, Qatar and Turkey have signed the Gaza Declaration, ending the 2-year-long war in the Palestinian enclave. US President Donald Trump has hailed this as a tremendous day for the Middle East as he, along with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan have signed a declaration meant to cement a ceasefire in Gaza hours after Israel and Hamas exchanged hostages and prisoners. Meanwhile, China has welcomed the release of the hostages as part of the ceasefire deal. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lin Jian has stated that China supports all efforts to restore peace and alleviate the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Lin Jian has in fact added that the post-war governance of Gaza should uphold the principle that Palestine is governed by Palestinians itself and that future arrangements should align with the two-state solution. This is the latest that we're tracking. We've seen a landmark development in the Middle East take place yesterday itself with the exchange of the hostages and the prisoners taking place. There are over 2,000 Palestinian prisoners who were languishing in Israeli jails who have now been released. They've got to go home, meet their families, and the hostages who were held captive for more than 700 days have now also reunited with their families in Israel. This is, of course, the first phase of Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan that is being implemented. Negotiations have been taking place in Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh, and we've seen more than 20 world leaders gather in Egypt as this declaration was signed. The deal was signed hours after the hostage release had taken place. But that is not all. Of course, there were some elements of the deal that were contentious, that do require a lot more deliberation, for which there will be further rounds of negotiation. There are some sticking points that have emerged, whether it is the disarmament of Hamas, its role in the governance of post-war Gaza. It is stated that it will not be involved, but what actually transpires on the ground remains to be seen. It has accepted the formation of a technocratic Palestinian leadership body that will take forward the governance of post-war Gaza. In the meantime, there has been no word about the formation of an international body of peace. This is something that Trump has mooted in his lengthy plan. That's not all. We are in fact seeing, as you can see on those visuals on your screens, you can see the Palestinian prisoners reuniting with their families. We're also seeing some very heartwarming visuals of the hostages also meeting their loved ones. It's quite a landmark moment, a historic moment that will hopefully bring an end to the war and ensure enduring peace in the Middle East. There's, of course, cautious optimism on the ground, both sides. People are elated, but they're of course concerned whether the war would resume or not, whether the ceasefire will hold for good or not. With us on the broadcast is Dr. Wael Awad, Middle East Affairs expert, joining us from New Delhi. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us on NewsX World. Of course, I've taken our viewers and given them an overview of what's happened yesterday. Interesting reaction coming in from China. China earlier, when the war was going on, did try to bring all parties together before Trump was elected, but somehow things could not materialize, and it's the United States that has now emerged as the broker. So what does this really say about the role of China, China's ambitions of becoming a major global player, especially in the Middle East?
Well, thank you for having me. I think what the Chinese have been doing, just like the rest of the nations, especially the UN security members and the regional powers, which wanted to find a solution to this crisis and put an end to the onslaught on the Palestinians. So they have been trying to push hard the deal, but I think the credit goes to President Trump, where he could put his pressure on and he could make Prime Minister Netanyahu come to the table and sign this agreement. And that's a very good indication that it's only the United States who have the influence on Israel to come to the term with the American and the Israelis. But however, I think the Chinese have been always staying away from the political intervention in any countries over the years. But having said that, I would say that over the decades, we have noticed that the Chinese also wanted to have footprints in many of the countries where the road BRI, the initiatives taken by Xi Jinping in 2013, have wanted to see that the interests of China has been protected. So I think they wanted to see more stability in the region, because that's also part of their objective of completing the road belt, one road, one belt BRI.
Mm-hmm. All right, so with that, I'd like to thank you for taking out time sharing your perspective with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus away from the Middle East to